Yes, I think the House is prepared to listen to. Did we say 2 from each side of the House or 1? 1. Yes, so Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that the chair of the appointment committee has corrected the committee's report. Mr. Speaker, the committee's report is a majority decision because we could not approve the nominees by consensus. Mr. Speaker, the minority does not support these nominations because our country has gone through and continues to go through very, very difficult times, Mr. Speaker, including crippling economic crisis, food insecurity, doomsday, debt or default, Mr. Speaker, obviously as a result of reckless borrowing to finance consumption. Mr. Speaker, ordinary Ghanaians continue to bite the bullet and businesses are struggling under a high tax regime and a high inflation, Mr. Speaker, and again, a sliding and a depreciating currency. Right, Honorable Speaker, in times like this, we expect the government to signal to the people of Ghana and the investment community that the government is ready and willing to do things differently to restore the needed confidence in our economy. Right, Honorable Speaker, it cannot be the case that while the people of Ghana, while the government asks the people of Ghana to tighten their belts, this government would rather lose their belt. Mr. Speaker, merely piling on ministers and deputy ministers does not signal to the people of Ghana that the president understands the seriousness of the mess that has been created in this administration. Mr. Speaker, this government must downsize its size of government and signal to the people of Ghana, Mr. Speaker, that it cares, and they are ready to reverse some of the losses, some of the economic losses that we have made. Mr. Speaker, it is important for the President to signal to the people of Ghana once again that he is in tune with the feedback and appreciate the challenges resulting in the bad economic policies that have been implemented by his government. Mr. Speaker, already, President John Mahama has made a public statement that in his next government, he is going to signal reduce the size of government to 60 ministers and deputy ministers. Interestingly, Mr. Speaker, Alhaji Bawumia, who is the vice president of this government, Mr. Speaker, he was part of the government that appointed 125 ministers, has even gone further to say that in the unlikely event that he becomes the president of this country, Mr. Speaker, he is going to reduce the size of government to 50. Mr. Speaker, respectfully, Mr. Speaker, I may ask, what is the prudent justification for a Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, 2 deputy ministers, and a Minister of Finance himself? Mr. Speaker, 4 at the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Speaker, if I may ask again, at the local government ministry, there is a minister at the Ministry of Local Government, 2 deputy ministers, and a Minister of State. Mr. Speaker, why? Why? Is it the prudent use of taxpayers' money? Mr. Speaker, this is unfortunately most imprudent use of the taxpayers' money. We cannot, Mr. Speaker, in good conscience, support the approval of these nominees, especially when this government has been reckless, wasteful, Mr. Speaker, and most importantly, very insensitive to the plight of the people of Ghana. Right, Honorable Speaker, the NDC Minority Caucus will not and cannot take part in this decision to further increase the size of this administration. Mr. Speaker, we cannot be part of this. Finally, Mr. Speaker, let the record reflect that the NDC Minority Caucus cannot be part of this approval process. To further increase the size of this government, Mr. Speaker, let the record reflect. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I want to signal that we are walking out, and let it be recorded that they took these decisions themselves. We are not part of it. Mr. Speaker, we have counted their numbers already, and we know their numbers. Let the record reflect that the NDC is not part of this approval process. If you don't care, we care. If you don't care, we care, and we will be part of this. Stay and approve it, and in the end, take responsibility for what you are doing to the people of Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Responsibility, work out, go. Bye bye.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it is indeed very sad for our colleagues to approach the business of this House the way they have. Mr. Speaker, qualification for the office of a minister or deputy minister is founded in our constitution. Our colleagues were part of the approval process at the committee level. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we had a report laid before this House by consensus, Mr. Speaker, only for them to make a last-minute U-turn to say that they don't want to be part of this. Hence, the report should be amended to reflect majority decision. Mr. Speaker, that is your right. We've granted that. But, Mr. Speaker, that does not stop government from conducting the business of governance and for us to approve these ministers for them to mount the various ministries to deliver what is expected of them for the benefit of the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, throughout the process, we've engaged our colleagues. Mr. Speaker, we were all together at the business committee when your summons was issued. We discussed this matter. There was no such indication that this is what they were going to do. So, Mr. Speaker, it is in bad faith. It is in bad faith for them to turn around to say that they don't want to participate. In any event, Mr. Speaker, the mere fact that they have walked out, does not amount to their being absent in the proceedings. I remember Mr. Speaker's ruling on the fact that when you come to Parliament and you are present, and you are not present, and you decide to walk out on proceedings, it does not in any way, Mr. Speaker, render what is done in your absence void or nugatory. So, Mr. Speaker, perhaps if they think that by going, it is a trap to clip us constitutionally, then, Mr. Speaker, they've lost it. Mr. Speaker, finally, every single nominee qualifies under the constitution of this country. Mr. Speaker, at no point throughout the vetting process did they raise any issue of criminality, any issue of morality, any issue of disqualification by virtue of constitution against any of the nominees. So, Mr. Speaker, again, we are tempted to conclude that because it is an election year, they want to do this for the optics, for the politics of it. But in substance, they have nothing against them. Let's speak of all the nominees. Perhaps majority of them are members of Parliament who already qualified. And again, Mr. Speaker, the alignment of the ministries. Mr. Speaker, every government has its own policy. They had their government. They knew how they assigned ministries. This is our government. This is the decision of government. You cannot use numbers to obstruct government business. Mr. Speaker, that again is unacceptable. Mr. Speaker, having said this, I would want to conclude by urging my colleagues who are here and present to support this motion for us to approve these nominees. Mr. Speaker, currently we have representatives of the president. The imperatives of democracy allows for accountability. Once we approve them and they become ministers, they are sworn in and they become ministers, it allows for accountability. They will come to this house to report and respond to questions. And that would be right. If we leave it in abeyance, Mr. Speaker, what that means is that there will be no ministers to mount these ministries. So, Mr. Speaker, we are here. We have the numbers. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, you would want to suspend for 5 minutes. Mr. Speaker, that is okay. Thank you very much.